Welcome back to spooky season. And yes, if you've noticed what today's date is, today is Friday the 13th, and it's in October. So of course I'm going to review Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th in October with a Friday the 13th t-shirt currently on. This is explosion of Jason. So join me on my journey. I wanted to do this review in the dark with just the backlight from my phone, sort of Blair Witch style. But then I didn't think anybody would click on it. I think people would be like, what is this crap? My channel is already borderline just bare bones. I don't need to make it look any worse. Half the time I'm like, I think the light's on. That's the thing about being a blind film critic, is you're like, are the lights on? Did I put the lights on? I think the lights are on. I think I did that. Sure. It feels like the lights are on. You just have to trust your instinct. Took me a minute to figure out where my Friday the 13th shirt was, and I'm good to go. So, yeah. I like this franchise. I'm a big fan. Before I lost my vision, I could see I used to play the Friday the 13th video game all the time. So, I was pretty good at escaping from Jason. I would say I was pretty good for escaping from Jason. There's a kill in this movie that reminded me so much of one of the kills that Jason does in, or can do. It's a hard kill to pull off, because you have to have somebody in the wrong place at the wrong time, but there's a specific kill that Jason can pull off that's very reminiscent of something that happens in this movie with a sleeping bag. So, yeah, I was definitely taken back to the times that I had having fun running around with people trying to find gas cans and fuel up cars, and everybody's like, where's Jason? I don't know, does anybody see him? You know? You're trying to pick characters based on their traits. Do you want somebody who runs fast? Do you want somebody who's not going to be sensed? All those kind of things. So, I have seen the original Friday the 13th. The original Friday the 13th does not have audio description. The remake, 2009 remake, actually does. So this is a review of that, because I wanted to review something that had audio description. And there are a couple of the sequels that have audio description, but it's so weird that the original doesn't. It's like, thanks for putting it on part 7, but can you put it on the first one first? Like, I love that they always assume that blind people are willing to just, like, watch random sequels, you know? Like, does the first one have it? No. But the sequels do. Or some of the sequels do. Cool. You know, people have asked me before, like, have you seen Annabelle? I'm like, no. No, because the first one doesn't have audio description. But the sequels do. So, I could just skip the first one. I don't know. Is it consequential? I have no idea. It just feels weird to me. If I did that with any other franchise. Did you watch Star Wars? Yeah, I've seen them all except A New Hope. I feel like somebody would punch me in the face. So, we should be able to start off with the first film of the franchise. We gotta... Yeah, I need to be able to talk to studios and have them actually listen and figure these things out. It's so random. It's like, thank you for the audio description to the sequels, but why is it not on the original? Why? Come on now. Anyway, so this, I didn't realize how big of a requel it was. I'd seen parts of this because I worked in theaters back in 2009. I was a movie theater manager. I was pretty fly for a soon-to-be blind guy. And, yeah, so I had to walk in and out. Friday the 13th is one of those movies that attracts teenagers who, I don't know, they're there to socialize. I don't know. It's amazing. Like, they pay money to go sit in a theater and, like, hang out. They're like, my parents will drop me off at a movie theater. We'll sneak into an R-rated movie. We'll go through all that trouble. And then we'll talk the whole time. Because that's a fun experience. And then, of course, you have that one adult that always comes out and is like, there are teenagers in my movie, and they are talking. And I'm like, God damn it. All right, I'll go do my job. Where's Jason when you need him? So, I guess this is going to be an indefensive Friday the 13th, the remake, because I actually kind of liked it. Yeah, I did. I thought it was good. I thought it was effective for what Jason is, for who he is and what he does. I liked a lot of it. There's some parts of it that I didn't like. And we'll talk about those. But yes, this is essentially this is a requel. This is like maybe the first requel, but it's definitely, I mean, it came like 10 years before Jamie Lee Curtis was in a requel for Friday the 13th, because this film clearly acknowledges the events of the first film, the original, by where Jason's mother is the killer and she's running around killing people, and it kind of leaves you with like the end of the first film where they kill Jason's mother, and then this one starts off with like Jason being a little kid, and he just kind of steps out and he's like, did my mom just get decapitated? And I'm like, were you just standing there the whole time? I was like, what were you doing? Your mom thought you were dead this whole time. What are you just chilling? Like, you're just like hanging out behind a tree watching her run? What are you doing? So, I didn't love the beginning. I thought it was kind of ridiculous. I mean, I got what they were trying to do, where they were like, ooh, now it's being passed off to Jason. And I'm like, but where was he? Like, for real, where was it? Like, his mom's running around all over camp, and she never runs into her kid. No one runs into this kid. There's just this kid that just waits till his mom is decapitated and then, like, pops out and is like, what's up? I'm here. I'm Jason. Like, come on. That's really cheesy. Make it make sense. And then we jump a bajillion years. I don't know. I guess he waits a long time. Although there's suggestions from some of the local folk later on in the film that when people don't go missing up here, they're dead. I like that line. Like, why do you live up here? Must be terrifying to go outside at night for you. Like, how do you sleep? Like, what if he breaks into your house? What if he decides to expand his reach? People, I feed Jason. I put out a bag of Doritos every night, and he leaves me alone. Yeah, we have an understanding. I'm the only one that's allowed to live up here, so I can give knowledge to those who would try to hang out up here at Camp Crystal Lake. It's not even a camp anymore. Obviously, this film does address the fact that after, a ton of people were murdered, they decided to shutter Camp Crystal Lake. They were like, well, you know what? And they shuttered it in, like, the most randomly and rapid place possible, where, like, I guess nobody even, like, came in and cleaned anything up or moved anything out. Jason's just got, like, whatever he wants in any of these, any parts of the camp, he could just, like, bring it into his own little cabin, shed, shack, whatever he's got going on there. He can just take things because they left it all behind. They were just like, you know what? It's dead to us. Burn it to that. No, don't even bother burning it. Just leave it there. Let it rot. Did we get the bodies at least? Did we? No, we didn't. Oh, well, okay, fine. We'll just leave them then. So yeah, Jason is then greeted by a new group of teenagers. And at this point, I'm like, damn, we are dispatching people quickly. This film does not fuck around. This film does not mess around with character development. This film is like, nobody cares who you are. You're gonna die. It just really goes in for the kills. And, I mean, within the first 15 minutes, I think like 5 people died. So, I was like, Okay. I was actually like checking the runtime. I was like, how close are we to the end? How short is this movie? It feels like we're moving along at a rapid pace. Somehow this movie managed to last for an hour and 40 minutes. And it does so by having just a high body count. It finds a way of introducing multiple groups of teenagers. There's the first group of teenagers that go up there, and bad things happen. And then there's another group that goes up there, plus Jared Padalecki, to look for his sister who was in the original group. And bad things happen again. So, Jason kind of, yeah, this is kind of just Jason's movie, and everybody's living in it. Which is kind of disappointing because I wanted to like Randy the whole thing, from Scream, and be like, there are rules to horror movies. I wanted to like jump in and like explain to Jason, be like, there are rules in horror movies, and this person has not violated any of them. You can't kill them. It's the rule. Don't you read? Don't you read rules to scary movies? Friday the 13th was one of those films that established the rules, Don't have sex. Don't do drugs. Don't be the asshole of the film. There's a reason why we have a phrase called the final girl, It's because there's usually a final girl. So, Platinum Dunes, Michael Bay's Platinum Dunes was like, you know what? Fuck scary movie rules. People came to see Jason kill shit. Let's just have him kill. Let's have him do that. Because I thought this movie was definitely headed in a certain direction, and I was trying to predict who would live and who would die. And I was like, I think this is... And I was like, no, okay, that's not how it happened. Okay, we're not doing that. And then the movie just kind of blows itself out of the water with like we're getting a sequel ending. And then you're like, it didn't get a sequel. So, we'll never know. We'll never know how that ends. Anyway, there's no sequel to this film. But this film very much has a sequel where it's just like, oh my God, come back for the sequel. And they overplayed their hand. I don't even know why this film didn't get a sequel. It's not like these films are expensive. Like, I don't. We have 10 Saw movies. 10. We have 10 Saw movies. You're telling me they couldn't make a sequel to the remake of the requel, whatever you want to call this, reboot of Friday the 13th? The hell? Like, come on. This one had to be... I don't even think it's as expensive as Nightmare on Elm Street. At least with Nightmare, you have some, like, visual effects, because of, like, dream sequences and stuff that you have to go through. Here you have nothing. It's, like, practical gore, and then you just move on. It's not, like, this is... And you get to pay, like, young actors who are just starting out, who have almost no credits to their resume. Jared Padalecki is the biggest star in this film. That's as high as it goes. He was definitely the highest paid person in this film. So, yeah, that kind of highlights where this film is at. It should have been cheap to make, should have been cheap to shoot, and a sequel easily could have been made. Even if this film underperformed, I still don't know why they didn't make a sequel. We make sequels to everything. How many Insidious movies are we on now? Like 5? Or like, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that we haven't had a Friday the 13th movie since 2009 either. We just had an entire Halloween trilogy. And we haven't had nobody has touched Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th since somebody tried to remake them in 2009. So, anyway, I think this film is better than it is, than people think. I thought the kills were interesting. The characters, yeah, they're underdeveloped, but it's a horror movie. aren't they always underdeveloped? Like, for the most part? I mean, there are a lot of films where I'm like, I can't remember who these people are. And there are characters that are so underdeveloped, it's like they're almost screaming to be killed off because you're like, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? What is your job? And then you see somebody like violating the rules of a horror film, and you're like, oh, they're having sex. Oh, this person's gonna die. Where's Jason? Oh God, it's happening. You just know. You're like, oh, this is a no for horror films. And it's gross and it's gory, and the kills are inventive and creative. The sleeping bag gag was a lot. Also, I flashed back to the video game, the Friday the 13th. There's a rock song that plays in the car. If you ever get to play a video game, there's a rock song when you're driving away, when you're trying to drive away from Jason. If you get the car going, yeah, the rock song that plays. It's just Friday the 13th. Super cheesy. And there was the bear traps being used, and I was like, oh my God, we used bear traps in the video game. I was so stoked. I was like, bear traps. So yeah. Jason has always been, if your complaint about this film is that Jason withstands things, it's always been Jason's thing. It's sort of like he supernaturally keeps coming back. I mean, how many, what did he have? Seven films originally before the remake? I think it's seven or eight. Probably, maybe it's more. Maybe Jason X was Jason 10. I don't know. And then there's Freddy versus Jason. I don't know, Jason's in a fuckload of movies already. This dude does not die. He just keeps coming back over and over and over. He's imbued with some sort of magical spirit, obviously. So, yeah, of course he's going to withstand things. But there are some really cool kills in here for horror movie fans. There's one involving a poker that, a well-timed poker, I should say, that I thought was very creative. There's a girl that gets lifted off the ground and hung on antlers, which also is a kill that Jason can perform in the video game, where he can grab you and shove you onto like antlers or whatever that are hanging on the wall. Yeah, just some sort of interesting, very specific deaths. So I loved all of the experiences that I've had with Friday the 13th, and then getting to watch the remake in its entirety with audio description by Tansy Alexander. Shout out, represents. That was some really great audio description. Very detailed in the gore of what happens, decapitations, and there's this funny thing where like Jason's just carrying around a decapitated body for like solid, like, I'll say 5 to 10 minutes in this movie, and I'm like, why? And so there are some things in this movie I'll acknowledge. I'll be like, what is happening here? Why is Jason just carrying a decapitated body around? Like, for what purpose? Is it for fun? Like, he's just like, this is what I do. I'm out in the woods by myself. I don't know. I have to entertain myself somehow. I don't know. Yeah, it's some of it is a little silly. There's also sort of like a local person who seems to be like living there, and I'm kind of like, I feel like Jason would have killed those people off by now, or he lets them live. Like, why did he all of a sudden just kill a local person who lives nearby? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But that was just a thought that I had. I was like, I don't know why this person died. I don't get it. that person's been there. Jason's clearly not going anywhere. I mean, he was a kid, and then we flash forward like 20 years, and he's, grown up, walking around. His face is gross for some reason. We're told he has like a distorted face. I don't know why. There's no real context given to that. Wish there was. They hinted some stuff that happened to Jason through the opening sequence with Jason's mom, where it's like, "What you did to Jason?" What did they do to his face, though? And they burn it? Like, is it on fire? Like, I don't know. Like, what's up with his face? Explain. So, yeah, I mean, I can see some of the complaints, but it's fucking entertaining as hell. It just is. It's, characters are obnoxious, and of course those characters, get the wrong side of the machete. The characters that think that they know better and they know how to fight. And it just never works out. It just doesn't work out for anybody who's like, "I'm better than Jason." It works out for people who are like, "I'm not better than Jason, but we have to get the fuck out of here." Somehow we got to get him out of here. And those people seem to have a better chance at survival. So, yes, I definitely enjoyed the Friday the 13th remake a lot more than I thought I would, because I think this is one of those films that's derided a lot as being just like, Michael Bay came along with his Platinum Dunes and was just ruining franchises in the 2000s, and Texas Chainsaw remakes, and we had the Nightmare on Elm Street with Rooney Mara and Jackie Earle Haley, which alone, when you say that out loud, automatically should make you interested. The fact that if you haven't seen it, the fact that I just told you that there's a Nightmare on Elm Street with Rooney Mara and Jackie Earle Haley, like, should interest you. I'm sorry, those are 2 Academy Award nominees. Why are they in Nightmare on Elm Street? Why don't you find out and watch the film? Why don't you make up your own opinion about the film and stop letting other people dictate whether or not something is cool or not? Because I think this film is cool. I had a lot of fun. People die in somewhat hilarious, but also sometimes horrific ways. It's a mix. It's a mixed bag. Sometimes I'm like, "Ooh, that was gross," and other times I'm like, "I'm good with that." It's kind of hilarious. That character sucked anyway. Characters. And then some other times I'm like, "Jason, no, bad Jason. That's a character that should have lived. That's a character that should have made it to the film, through the end of the film." I'm sorry, but I went to the Randy School of Horror Filmmaking, Randy Meek's School of Horror Filmmaking, and I know what the rules are. You can't break them, Jason, and you broke a rule. You need to bring that person back to life. Sorry. That person didn't break any of the rules. So, it's got everything. So it's made me happy, it's made me sad, and it has fantastic audio description, courtesy of Tansy Alexander, who just knocks everything out of the park. And I was extremely happy with it. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the franchise already. The only thing I could have done to make this more is to happen to own a hockey mask, which I don't. I don't own a Jason mask. And honestly, I think a lot of people who watch my channel are blind and visually impaired anyway. So I just have to say I'm wearing a Friday the 13th shirt, and you guys just have to take me at my, word, I guess. But, yeah. Watch it. I'm going to give Friday the 13th, a 2009 remake, a B+. Yeah, I think it did exactly what it's supposed to do. It's a slasher movie where people get slashed. It's not really supposed to be overthought too much, the depth of these characters is not really a priority. It's never has been for this type of film. I don't think we have a whole lot of backstory for the other films of the Friday the 13th franchise. I think this film delivered on a promise to bring back Jason and to bring him back in a way that modernized and felt more updated with a little bit better of a budget. The original Friday the 13th just does not have a budget. It's barely watchable. And I don't even mean like it's barely watchable because of bad acting or it's just poorly shot. I mean, what they shot it on and the fact that we haven't restored it, it's the quality of the film. Like, it's not great. It's not fun. I don't have fun watching the original Friday the 13th. It's hard for me to even get into it because it's so low budget. And I don't think it's just been preserved. The last time I saw Friday the 13th, which was, I actually did see it, so it's been at least since before my blindness. So it's been, I don't know, at least over 6 years, 6 or 7 years. So, it just was degraded. It felt old. It felt way older than it was. It felt like 10 or 20 years older than actually when it was released. So, other than the fact that it has Kevin Bacon in it to make you sort of like snap into what timeline you're in, and you're like, well, it can't be that old because Kevin Bacon's here. So it's weird. But I don't know. It just restore the film, do a remaster, something, put audio description on the original. It's not bad. It's just low budget. And unfortunately, low-budget films, I don't know if it's the quality of the film, the recording, whatever, it just doesn't hold up. It's really hard to watch nowadays. This remake, though, they used all the budget that they could have. And it holds up. And it's obviously a requel. So, Halloween did not invent the requel. So this film is effectively rewriting and coming in as Friday the 13th Part 2. So anyway, happy Friday the 13th day, guys. Of course, I landed this review on this very special day. I can't believe this also coincided in October. I think that's amazing. So there's no way I couldn't do this. And when it happens again, I'll review something else from the franchise with audio description. If I have to jump to a sequel, I'll jump to a sequel. But I have to honor the fact that Friday the 13th timed perfectly in October. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me while I talk about Jason and my love of the franchise and the slashing and the killing. Freddy vs. Jason is fun. Maybe I'll review that at some point. I don't know if that has audio description. Maybe that'll be next. That was kind of silly and fun, and so much conversation after that film about the next team up film, like who would they put against who, and none of it ever happened. People were pitching things all over the internet. There was so many people that wanted like Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, or Freddy versus Jason versus Chucky, Freddy versus Jason versus Pinhead, Ash versus Chucky versus, people just wanted so many different combinations of random horror people from horror films. So, I'm surprised we didn't get a sequel to that either. Why do we have sequels to some things but not sequels to others? Weird. Very weird. Anyway, I have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on X, Threads, or Instagram at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. You can go to the ADNA, which is the ADNA.org, and you can look up Tansy Alexander and see everything else she's narrated. And also, please click that subscribe button. I'm like 20 people away from 200. I'd love to be able to break 200 by the end of the year. So if you haven't clicked subscribe and you want to hear people talking about films with audio description, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to remind Hollywood that we watch films too, and we would like audio description. It's not that hard. Let's just make it happen, guys. Come on, Hollywood. Uh, you know, you never know what accessibility you're going to need until you need it. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I will review something else and see you on the other side.